Good evening, voters. Now, as you know, this is election season and we've been bringing to you various conversations and issues that should matter this election season. But when it comes to our netas, for some reason, rather than talking about the real issues, they tend to focus on rhetorics that they think will get them the votes. There have been a series of comments that have been made in the last few weeks by netas where they seem to be taking credit for what the Indian forces have been doing. Which may be fine if you are in the government, but is it fine if you're just a politician? Is it fine for a political party to do that? Is it okay for a political party to use the forces for political gains? Let me give you a few examples. There was a comment that was made by the Prime Minister who said you should, to the first-time voters, he said, you should dedicate your votes to Pulwama martyrs. You should dedicate your votes to the braves of the Balakot. There was Yogi Adityanath, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, who said Modi ki Sena serves bullets to the terrorists while Congress feeds biryani. Then there was Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, also a union minister in the current government, who said Congress is seeking proof from Modi ki Sena. And there was O.P. Sharma, leader of the BJP, who said Abhinandan's return is a win for Modi and Amit Shah. Amit Shah himself said that the government carried out an airstrike that killed more than 250 terrorists. Now, he is not in the government, by the way. He is a party chief. So when all of this was happening and comments were being made and Congress was not far behind, there were many in the opposition who tried to politicize the whole matter even more during Pulwama, during Balakot, even before that during the Uri strike, demanding for evidence, questioning what the forces had done and had not done. So the Election Commission decided that they must be warned. The Election Commission of our country has issued 2 letters warning the netas. Don't use the armed forces and the actions of our armed forces for your own political campaigning. Putting up pictures of Wing Commander Abhinandan is not okay. Putting up pictures of martyrs is not okay. Wearing camouflage clothes and pretending to be the biggest patriot of our forces is not okay. All of that took place, but nothing changed. Some netas continue to make such comments. So a bunch of veterans, retired senior officers from the Army, the Air Force, and even the Navy decided to take a stand. And this was apparently an appeal to the President. They came together, had conversations on various platforms, thought about an online petition, but they took a stand. And then they said it is unacceptable to take credit for the military operations. It is unacceptable to claim armed forces are Modi ji ki Sena. It is unacceptable for politicians to wear military uniforms. It is unacceptable to use images of soldiers. Misuse of forces can bring down the morale, they said. Then the controversy erupted of who signed this letter and who didn't. Frankly, it doesn't matter if 15 of them signed it or 156. It's still a very small number in terms of the huge number of soldiers and retired soldiers and veterans that we have. But there is a point here that I want to focus on. And that point is politicization of the armed forces. And whether as a country we are okay with that. So that's the big debate tonight after this report.
On the debate tonight.
कांग्रेस के लोग आतंकवादियों को बिरयानी खिलाते थे और मोदी जी की सेना आतंकवादियों को गोली और गोला देती है।
बालकोट के अंदर हमारी मिसाइलों ने, हमारे सुरक्षा बलों ने घुस करके पूरे के पूरे इलाके को तबाह किया और उन आतंकवादियों को भी खत्म किया। दिक्कत ये हुई कि कांग्रेस पार्टी, समाजवादी पार्टी, बहुजन समाज पार्टी सब चिल्लाने लगे कि भाई ये जो है, जो मोदी जी ने घुस करके, मोदी जी की सेना ने घुस करके आतंकवादियों को तबाह किया, उसका सबूत दिखा दो।
Over 150 army veterans have written a letter demanding an end to politicizing the Indian Defence Forces.
Defence forces will remain apolitical. Nobody can say and nobody should say that Sena belongs to a word like Modi ki Sena.
After the scathing letter surfaced earlier today, former Air Force Chief Air Marshal Suri, along with former Army Chief General Rodriguez and Lieutenant General M.L. Naidu, denied signing such a letter.
मैं तो अभी देखते जा रहा हूँ न्यूज़ पे कि कोई group of veterans has applied to the president. But as far as they are concerned, they have just said that we don't want to be political.
Opposition parties who also have indulged in politicizing the surgical strike and airstrikes are now jumping in with strong reactions against the Modi government.
If this isn't enough of an embarrassment for this government, I don't know what is.
Meanwhile, Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has condemned the circulation of the letter, calling it fake and saying that it was signed by a group with vested interests.
It is very worrying that if people's consent are not even being taken and fake letters, fake allegations are being signed by some vested interest groups, it is absolutely condemnable.
Mirror now asks, shouldn't political parties refrain from politicizing the army? Should political parties claim credit for the army's achievements? Let's debate.
Let's say good evening to our esteemed panelists tonight, and I've got Major General Dhruv Katoch with us this evening. I've also got Air Marshal Veer Narayan, who's also a defence expert and a signatory, I believe, to this appeal. Pallavi Sharma of the Congress Party and Vivek Reddy of the BJP, and Colonel Amit. He's been with us on our previous debates as well. Good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining us. Air Marshal Veer Narayan, let me start with you. If you can explain to us, I believe you are a signatory to this letter. Is that true?
It is true, I did sign that letter.
Can you explain to us, sir, why you felt the need that a stand had to be taken today?
You see, one is caught in a dilemma. As a service officer, we believe that taciturnity is a soldierly virtue. We don't want to get involved in any controversies. At the same time, the veterans fraternity felt that some of the military events were being used for political purposes and that it was undesirable for this to happen because we do not want to be dragged into any controversy, particularly of a political nature. So that is why it was felt necessary to appeal to our Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces to make sure that this kind of a thing does not happen. But we do not want to get into any controversy. We do not want to get into any public debate. We have felt in a certain way because certain things were said like Modi ki Sena, etc., which we felt were contrary to the ethos of the services. And we felt that it was our duty to bring it to the notice of the authorities concerned so that this kind of a thing does not continue to happen.
Right. Air Marshal Veer Narayan, there's been a bit of controversy, unfortunately, still since this news emerged. And what I thought maybe a little, was worth pointing out is the response of the Defence Minister. Now, the Defence Minister today focused on, a couple of comments that came out from people who are on this list but said that they didn't sign any letter and they don't want to comment on it. And the Defence Minister said, this is a fake letter, this is fake news that is being promoted by vested interests. There is no such problem. What would your reaction be to what Nirmala Sitharaman said today?
This is a political statement by someone who is into politics. As far as I am concerned, we have stated the facts to the President of India, who is the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. If the facts are wrong, maybe we are also to be brought to book. But if the facts are correct, if the statements attributed to certain personalities are correct, then I'm afraid we cannot blame those who in the interest of the nation, point out that these things should not be done.
Okay, so let me bring in Major General Dhruv Katoch. General Katoch, what is your view? Do you agree with largely what this, letter says? And let me just read out a couple of points. The apolitical and secular nature of India's armed forces has been an article of faith for every soldier, every sailor and airman. India's armed forces have loyally upheld the democratic principle of civil control over the military. The soldiers, sailors and airmen owe allegiance to the Constitution of India, of which you as President of the Indian Union are the legal custodian. It is for this reason that President is also the supreme commander, and we serve and execute orders at the will of the President. And I think this was interesting because it's also to point out the fact that it's not a political party. It's not even a minister or a prime minister who runs and owns or is the head of the forces. It's the president, and the forces are defined by the Constitution. What did you think of this development?
Right. I'll just take about 2 minutes to give my thoughts on this. The first point, it is very, what the Air Marshal has said, I'm totally in conformity with what he has said. The army is, or the armed forces are, an apolitical armed force. We belong to the people of India. We will be governed as per the Constitution, and we are not part of any political party. Having said that, I think there are a few issues which need to be understood. One is, whenever a military operation takes place, there are two aspects to the military operation. One aspect is the physical execution of that by the military. The second aspect is the political decision-making which goes into that. Now, I would like to go back in time. Let us say we go back to the 1971 war. This war was won by the military in a brilliant operation carried out over a period of 13 days. But we cannot forget the overriding fact of the political decision-making by the leader at that time, which was Srimati Indira Gandhi. Similarly, when we are looking at Balakot today, there was a brilliant operation carried out by the Indian Air Force, but there is also a question of the decision-making which permitted such an operation to take place, because there is grave risk involved. And should something go wrong, then it is a political executive which will face the flak. That is one point. The second point, I really want to refer to the letter. I have read this letter in detail, and I know the names of all the 156 personnel. I have been through that also. Now, there are 2 points in this. One, I see no reason why the names of people who have not agreed to sign the letter have been mentioned. So obviously somebody has made a very deep a mistake, I will say, in putting names of people who were not there. And in a document of this nature, which is addressed to the President of India, if the people who are signing it, especially 2 former chiefs and an army commander who has openly come out and said, we have nothing to do with this letter, we were not informed, we do not know the contents, to put their name into this particular letter, I think is unethical, and it makes the letter redundant.
Correct.
To that extent, it is a fake letter, because notwithstanding the contents is not being disputed. I will also tell you that I went to the extent of speaking to quite a few people, and some of them told me they were told that this is the letter, and we agreed to sign our name. And some told me we were neither told, and our name has been put there, we do not know how. So there is something wrong there, which I think whoever has initiated this particular project, they need to introspect.
So may I ask you this?
The second aspect is, you see, the contents of the letter per se, there is, yes?
So may I ask you this? You say the contents of the letter per se are not disputed. You and Air Marshal Narayan are largely in agreement that forces should be kept out of politics, that nobody should be referring to them with what the essence of the letter is.
Yeah.
So,
no, I want to explain that, you see.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
No, there is absolutely no doubts about that. You see, there's absolutely no doubts about that. The armed forces belong to the people of India, right? And they will operate under the directions of the political executive, right? That is the constitutional position. So whichever is the government in power, the armed forces will operate under that government. But I want to get back to this letter. The second aspect, you see, the Air Marshal has signed the letter. I think he's one of the very few people who have signed the letter, because it appears not to have been signed by many. That means it has simply been sent as a photostat copy with the names of people. Now, if it was supposed to be sent to the president, I think protocol and etiquette demanded that it be signed by each and every person. And number two, it should have gone to the President of India and not to the office of the Congress headquarters or to the media.
So, right.
The very fact that it has gone to the media and is splashed in the public domain, the very purpose of this letter, what you wish to achieve, I'm afraid has been rendered null and void, and you have achieved quite the contrary. Because as soon as it came out, the Congress put it on its Twitter book,
Correct.
and it has made it into a political handle. Now, I think that is very derogatory. So we need to be careful about what we do. It is a letter to the president. It should have been sent to the president and should have been kept as a confidential document. I am certain the president, as a supreme commander, would have acted in accordance with the desires of the veterans, because I see nothing wrong or objectionable in what has been said. It is an absolutely correct statement.
Okay, so
the manner of it being sent and the manner in which this statement has been politicized, I object to that.
I agree with you, and that perhaps if these many people had not given their consent, their names should not have been there, but largely most people, and we did our own homework of calling up a lot of the veterans who are on this list, and we also got a few who said that, well, I agree with it completely, but I do not want to, sign this, or I don't want to get into it, because that will only aggravate the issue further and politicize it. And my own understanding is it also comes from the aspect that soldiers are trained to not think about politics. You don't. You think about your country, and you serve your country. And nobody who's serving ever speaks out of, against the government.
If it's okay with you.
Just 1 minute. Let me just complete my point, and I'll come back to you. When the soldiers are serving, they don't speak out.
Yeah, please.
And most of those who retire also tend to keep away from these politics because they think it's wrong. And I think that's largely the viewpoint that you also are coming from, and a lot of the other, senior, very, very senior officers that I spoke with said. So I get that point, but I want to focus, like I said in the beginning of this debate, about what is happening and whether this should be acceptable to us as a nation. This kind of politicization, whether Netas standing in rallies should be using these, kind of remarks for their political gains. So that's the debate here. And Vivek Reddy, I want to ask you a question on that. Is that right? Why does your party believe that it is okay to use the forces and the bravery of our forces when you go out there to ask for our vote?
Well, Tanvi, let me just get to the background. The senior officer who just spoke has brought out some interesting issues. First of all, I'll come to your question also. First of all, when a letter has 156 signatures, or letter is purported to be given by 156 senior officers, retired officers, and many of them say that they have not even signed it and they are not even aware of the contents, then the question is that it is a concocted letter, because it does not purport to carry the assent of the persons whom it claims, whom it names.
Yeah, now you're repeating what has already been said.
Is,
yes.
What I want to ask.
The issue is everybody still agrees largely with the essence of the letter. Don't politicize the forces.
Allow me to just correct. I will come to that also. Allow me to just call out the circumstances under which this comes out. Next, kindly see the next missing link. When this letter is sent, immediately it comes up in the Congress Twitter handle. This is one. Third, kindly look at the third circumstance. The third circumstance is there are 3 instances narrated in the letter. One is about a banner, another is about Modi ji ki Sena, and some party workers in uniforms. Well, allow me to just complete. If you look at these 3, what follows is that you have made certain references from BJP, right? But the author of this letter has not pointed out certain grave issues made by Congress in these past few days, or in the past few 1 month or 45 days, regarding politicization of the army. There is a very one-sided picturization of this. Now, if you look at these 3, one-sided selective version with it coming up in the Twitter handle, and with most of the officers not having signed it, What does it point out? Obviously, this very thing is sought to be politicized with a prior agenda. What
Okay.
is that prior agenda?
So now tell me.
The prior agenda is.
Now tell me,
that there
by
is
that,
a big
okay,
way
go
for
point
Mr.
taken.
Modi.
Firstly,
They
let
want
me
to break
clarify
this
two
wave of
things
Mr.
to
Modi,
you,
and so
Vivek
therefore
Reddy.
they are trying to
Okay,
politicize it.
point taken. Point taken.
Now,
You are
so far
saying this
as-
is
so
this.
far
You
as
are
the
repeating
contents.
what Nirmala
So far as
Sitharaman
the
said.
contents.
They are behaving. This
So
is on
far
the
as-
behalf of certain vested groups. Now, 1 minute, please. To the issues that you've raised, there are two clarifications. Firstly, we had one of the signatories of this letter tell us in the evening that they sent copies of this to every political organization, including the Congress Party and the Aam Aadmi Party and the Samajwadi Party. Because the message is also to the political
Then why didn't they
parties
refer
to stop
my
doing
question
this.
is,
1 minute, let me finish my
Yes.
point, please. That is what they are
Yes.
saying. I am not here to sit and defend any of these 156
Absolutely,
veterans.
Tanvi.
But my conversation is not about 156
Right, my
veterans.
question is
My
this.
conversation is
My
about
question-
lakhs and lakhs of soldiers who had and are still serving us, protecting us, keeping us safe, who has sacrificed
I was pointing
40
out.
years,
Will
50
you
years
allow
of
me to
their
just-
life. No, please allow me to complete my comment now. Who has sacrificed 40 years, 50 years of their life for this country, who have fought in 1962 war, who have fought in 1971 war, who have fought in the Kargil war, who are still fighting for us, who were part of the Balakot. My question to you is, what gives any politician the right to sit and brag about them at a campaign rally? When and how did this become Modi ki Sena? Explain to me that. What Congress did and did not do, I will ask Pallavi Sharma that.
Right. Well, let me tell you one thing. First of all, when these veterans, what
All
I was trying
veterans.
to
Let's talk
picturize
about
is
all veterans.
that there is an organized effort to malign a political party. One. Second,
Including some veterans,
yes.
including
Okay,
one
let us go
Air
to the
Marshal
contents also.
sitting
You are
on
raising
our
issues about the
debate
contents.
right now.
Let us go to the, allow me to complete.
Are you
Tanvi.
calling him an
Please,
agent
allow
of
me to complete.
Congress?
I got your point. Let us go to the contents. No, not at all.
Then
But
what do
I
you
am
mean
telling
by
you that
vested
this is
interest?
a
Why do you keep connecting
maligning
it to Congress
campaign
again and
which
again?
has come from the Congress quarters.
Stop doing
Absolutely,
actions that
it has come
malign
from the
you.
Congress quarters.
If
It
you don't
clearly
act
indicates
in this
that.
way,
Second
nobody
issue.
will malign you.
Second issue. Please allow me to continue.
Yes.
Well, I will ask you one thing. The Congress has made even more severe statements. It has said Pulwama was match fixing. Hari Prasad from Karnataka has said, Congress MP sitting from Bangalore South, he has said Pulwama is a match fixing.
Correct.
Second, Mr. Kumar Swamy has said that only the poor go and enroll themselves in the army. Third, the Congress has been bragging with Pawan Keda and everybody that the 1971 war is what they did, that they achieved the victory. Isn't this politicization?
I mean, if you want to sit and
why did
compare
the,
your
army
own
and,
Prime Minister
the
to
Air
Indira
Vice
Gandhi,
Marshal,
who
retired
you
Air Vice
blame
Marshal,
for
why
emergency,
is
by
he
all means,
targeting
please go
one
ahead and do
political
that.
party alone?
Vivek Reddy, if
Let
you want
us
to
know
sit
that.
and
Let us know that
compare
because
our current Prime
we
Minister
also
to
want to know
Indira
the part-
Gandhi,
one
who
part
your
of the
party
debate is-
blames for
an important
emergency
part of this
and
debate
everything
is
else that
why
went
is it
wrong at
coming
that
from
point of
certain
time,
quarters?
then please
That
go
is
ahead
also an
and
important
compare
part of the
yourself to
debate. The
Indira
nation needs
Gandhi.
to know.
I think it's a ridiculous
Yes.
comparison to
So
make.
therefore, if Congress is saying, if
Okay, let me bring
why
in.
not? Isn't it the Congress saying that they are
Because
they have
I would
done it?
I would
How do you
hope
say it is ridiculous?
I
Why
would
is it
hope
ridiculous, Tanvi?
okay, listen to me,
When
because
they
I would
say
hope
that
that my
1971
current
war
government
is their
and the
achievement, that
BJP
they are trying to take,
has
they are
moved
trying
on
to take the,
and wants to
they
set
are
its own
trying to take the
benchmarks
merit of the
rather
achievement
than
of the armed
comparing
forces.
them to the
Isn't that
benchmark
politicization?
of India's Prime Minister who brought in emergency in this country. Now, if you want to sit here and justify current government's actions by comparing it to Indira Gandhi, that by all means, please go ahead and do that. Now, let me bring in Colonel Amitabh before I go across to Pallavi Sharma. Colonel Amitabh, unfortunately, whenever a real issue is picked up, which is to say, please don't use forces, either the Congress party or the Samajwadi party or the BJP, it ends up again becoming a political issue and the real issue is forgotten. Where do you stand on this controversy?
Firstly, there have been violation. I'll say by all the parties, by bringing in army and politicizing it. Now, this fact we cannot deny that army is being politicized, and achievements of army are being used by political parties to further their cause, which is not good for the army as such. Any such thing will further, our army has been absolutely apolitical right from the independence, and you would remember that so many countries which got independence at the time India, the same time as India got, were taken over by the army, including our neighbors. So Indian army has remained apolitical, a very professional army, and that character should be maintained at all costs. There can be no tinkering with it. Now, there has been a violation. People have taken the name of the army. People have used army's achievement. So, it has to be stopped. Now, who will stop it? The serving officers, including the chiefs of the army, of the armed forces, cannot do this because they are bound by the different army acts and the regulations. So, someone has to bring it. Now, this has been brought, these points have been brought by 156 veterans. Unfortunately, there is a mix-up where two chiefs and one vice chief has said that they have not signed it. But the fact is that 5 chiefs have signed it and they have not denied it. So, are we going to deny and call those 5 chiefs who have signed this letter and number of others, lieutenant generals and senior officers who have signed this letters, who have not contradicted it? I do not agree with General Katoch that everyone has to sign this letter. This is the electronic age. You can just give your consent, and that is good enough when you such a letter is going to the president. So I find nothing wrong in this not being signed. And if 5 chiefs have said that we feel concerned, and so many others senior officers have said, then there is a cause which has to be taken up. And to say that it's fake letter is actually insulting those people who have signed, including Air Marshal Narayan, who is sitting in this panel. It is insulting them that you are issuing a fake letter. Now, coming on to whether this letter should have been publicized or not, each and every letter which is sent to the president is also released. Please, I'll request the other participant to bring out one letter which has been sent to the president and not been leaked to the press or given to the press and all political parties. I think every letter which goes to the president, and the aim is to create awareness amongst people that army cannot be politicized. So, if there is a silent letter which goes to the president, it does not achieve its purpose. So, the letter to achieve its purpose has to be brought to the notice of the country.
Yes,
and
yes.
It will be very nice if after this episode, if after this letter, the political parties take the lesson and give that much respect to this armed forces and not use the armed forces name. Don't use whatever the issues have been raised, the banners, the camouflage dress and the achievements of the army for their furtherance of their political cause.
Yes, absolutely. Pallavi Sharma, do you believe that the Congress party perhaps should not have released
Tanvi,
the
can I
letter?
just come in?
Let those who have an issue, let those who wanted to take a stand and make this appeal be the ones who bring it out in public domain if they deem fit. Do you think it was right on Congress's behalf? Because then you are also politicizing.
I'll answer that question, Tanvi. But just before that, first and foremost, I think the blaring hypocrisy of the BJP has been stripped naked in public view today. I'll tell you why. Anytime, any member of the opposition party, any sensible journalist, any sensible citizen of this country, anyone from the civil society, raised questions, even on matters like intelligence failure in Pulwama, we were given a shut-up call by the BJP and we were asked to scoot to Pakistan, and they said, do not question the army. Though we were all questioning the government on this security failure, we were told that if you question the armed forces, you should go away to Pakistan, and we were tagged anti-nationals. Now, will the BJP apply this same principle on themselves today when they are not only questioning but maligning these armed forces, the soldiers of this country who have depicted their valor and served this country? They're maligning them, they're character assassinating them, and also attributing motives to them, saying that they are politically motivated, they have vested interest, they are being influenced by the opposition. I think it's highly disgraceful. But Tanvi, coming to the letter and analyzing it purely on the basis of facts. Now, there are 3 facts that have been put out in the letter. One is a remark by the Prime Minister, and the other is by Mr. Adityanath, the UP CM, where he's referred to the army as Modi ki Sena. And third is a deplorable state where a BJP leader, Mr. Manoj Tiwari, was begging for votes on the streets
Correct.
of
Let's
Delhi,
not
wearing
repeat.
the pride of
Pallavi, let's not repeat
the armed
ourselves.
forces, the army's uniform.
My question to you is
Now,
very
all
simple.
Those facts are correct.
And I have already set them out. I am asking you, was it right for the Congress party to jump into this and politicize it further?
Tanvi, I am only analyzing. One second, Tanvi. I am not repeating anything that any of the panelists have said. I am only analyzing the letter based on facts. Now, all those 3 facts are correct. They are in public domain. So, what wrong have these veterans written in the letter? Why should it be called as politically motivated? Point 1. Point 2. The only objection that everybody has on this panel is, why was this letter leaked? Because that is the entire purpose of this letter. That is why it was sent to all political parties, because the intention was pure. The intention was this, that no political party should use the armed forces for the election campaigning. And the instances mentioned in the letter were only for BJP, because it's only the BJP leaders who've been rallying in this election using the armed forces, using the Pulwama and Balakot airstrikes. The opposition, none of the opposition leaders, I think, have spoken about the armed forces in the election rally, at least up till now. Now, coming to why Rahul Gandhi ji or the Congress Twitter handle let out this letter. It was because Mr. Modi should be shown the mirror now. It was high time that the BJP face the stark reality that even the armed forces are against their use and their politicization of the armed forces. That is why, that was the only intent why the Congress party tweeted this letter from their official handle.
No, but okay, I don't think it was right. I think if those who wrote this letter and wanted to take a stand and come out and publicly say it, like Air Marshal Imran or any of the others who are on that list, could have done it themselves, would have done it themselves.
It's an open end. It's an open letter. Let's not forget that. And open letters
as a
are
message,
in public domain.
As a message
They
also
might
to
not
you.
necessarily reach the
As a
address
message
sheet,
also
but
to
they are
you.
in public domain.
Let me repeat what General Kakkar told us in the evening,
Of
as
course.
a message to
Of
every
course.
single party.
Of
But
course.
look what you
And
guys
we-
have ended
we
up
will
doing.
abide by that
You have
message.
politicized it
Yes,
further.
and the Congress party, no, Tanvi, the Congress party assures you, no, we have not politicized it, Tanvi. What we have done has actually served the purpose of the letter. The Congress party has shown Mr. Modi and the BJP leaders that this is what the armed forces also think. They have the same view, that do not politicize the armed forces. That is what the Congress party
Can I
has
just
been
come in,
saying.
Pallavi?
From after
Yes,
the
okay.
Uri surgical
No, quick
strike.
reaction from
And we were
Vivek
not heard
Reddy.
at all.
Quick reaction from Vivek Reddy, and then I want to go to our representatives from the forces for the actual issue, which is the politicization. But Vivek Reddy, you can respond first. Go ahead, please.
Well, first thing that I would like to ask Pallavi is that Hari Prasad from Congress, a senior leader of Congress, a senior central leader holding positions in the Congress party, parent body, he says that Pulwama was match fixing. Would you, let me ask you, Pallavi, would you stand by this statement?
How is that questioning the
The
armed
general
forces?
may not have pointed out, the Air Vice
How is
Marshal.
that questioning
Would you
the
stand
armed
by this
forces?
statement?
That's
And
questioning How
is
would
that
you
not-
say
How is that
this
not
statement
questioning
is not
the armed
politicization?
forces? How is that
Can
not questioning the
anybody
armed forces,
stoop to the
Pallavi?
level of saying
How is that not questioning the armed forces? They carried out an operation. The chiefs, the serving chiefs came out and gave us a brief. 1 minute now. Came out and gave us a briefing on it, and your party leader turns around and says it's match fixing.
When you say that no airstrikes had happened in Balakot, is that not politicization? Is it not raising a finger of suspicion against the army? Can you be allowed to do it? Pallavi, please hold on, please listen. You must have the patience to listen, please. Let me tell you, Pallavi, please allow me to complete. When you say
there is no point in yelling over each other. Here is the point. Even BK Hari Prasad questioning the intent
to raise a finger of suspicion against our armed forces.
Correct. Now, Vivek Reddy, correct. Now, calm down, please. Here is the point. Even when a Congress leader says Pulwama was fixed, is talking about the fact that this was done for political gains, and everything subsequently that happened, including Balakot strike, was for that reason. And that is disgusting. And while I do believe that the current Congress chief has ensured that not too many of these comments are made, there are politicians cutting across party lines who don't think twice before questioning our soldiers. But here is my question to Air Marshal Veer Narayan. Air Marshal Narayan, you heard what the politicians on this panel had to say.
Cut out my voice because I'm responding to your statement. It's completely unfair. Because you're mixing facts and you're misrepresenting them. What Mr. BK Hari Prasad said was in context of Pulwama. You're saying that it also expands.
What did he mean by saying match fixing of Pulwama? Because
it does not hold true.
Match fixing of Pulwama because match fixing of Pulwama because 39 soldiers died. 39 soldiers died.
Because there was a huge intelligence failure.
How is that match fixing, Pallavi? You cannot twist this around.
How dare you justify?
Vivek Reddy, 1 minute, please.
300 kg of RDX enter Kashmir. How did 300 kg of RDX
How is that match
enter our
fixing?
borders? Why did the Ministry of Home Affairs refuse permission?
Don't
to
ask
the soldiers
questions.
to be
Answer my
airlifted?
question.
Please
answer my question.
Please ask Mr.
Answer my question. How is an attack on our forces match fixing?
I'm answering.
What do you mean by match
counter
fixing?
Questions.
What do you mean by match fixing? Tell me, please.
I am not justifying that. I am only saying.
Then don't justify it.
No, one
Then
second.
don't
I am
justify
not
it.
justifying that.
Because
I'm
when
only
you
saying
say,
it does not
don't
mean
sit and defend
questioning
that
the
comment here.
Questioning the government, Tanvi, does not mean questioning the armed forces.
You question the sacrifice
Questioning
of
the
those
government does not mean
soldiers.
questioning the armed forces. Please
Okay.
don't paint the two with the same brush.
Your point has been made, Pallavi Sharma.
Absolutely
Don't
not.
sit here and
Why did the
defend
Ministry
that
of Home
disgusting
Affairs
comment that
refuse
was made by
permission to
BK
soldiers
Hari
to be
Prasad. Don't sit and defend it here or even explain it.
Nobody is defending it. I have been
Okay.
categorical and
So let's
vocal
go
saying
back
I'm
to
not
the point.
justifying it.
Air
I
Marshal
have
Veer
said that.
Narayan, this is what happens, and look at the way through the day politicians, including ministers and the opposition, have responded now. Do you believe there is still scope that these netas will understand the larger message, Air Marshal, that you were trying to send?
Well, this is a very ironical situation. This letter was written, I was a signatory to it. I was not responsible for its distribution or how it was to be treated afterward. It was addressed to our Supreme Commander. Now, the odd thing is that that very letter is also being used for political purposes. Now, there are two political parties tangling with each other over this letter. The letter was about the non-politicization of the armed forces, and what is the result? Even the letter that we write, first, it is alleged that it was not in good faith, that it was fake, because some of the signatories perhaps did not sign, which I fully agree should not have been done. But the whole point is, we are back in the same trap which we are trying to avoid. As members of the services, political parties do not exist. If there are two rival political parties, I would say, to coin a phrase, a blessing on both of them. We are not involved with them. We are not involved with publicity. We just, or speaking for myself, I just signed a letter which seemed to me to be factually correct and timely letter so that things do not go further wrong. And I do believe that that letter has had a salutary effect, and it does appear now, for now at least, that the parties concerned are being a little more cautious in dealing with issues relating to the armed forces. And we have to stop over there. Political squabbling will carry on. This letter will also be used as a political football by the parties. But as far as we are concerned, we have nothing to do with it. We have nothing to do with politics. We have nothing to do with publicity. We just want us to be left alone to do our job, our professional job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for making that comment. And may I just add that the Election Commission attempted this twice. There is a letter dated 9th March 2019 that was sent out to all political parties that said it has been brought to the notice of this commission that photographs of defense personnel are being used by political parties, their leaders and candidates in ads as part of their election propaganda, which I think is disgusting. Right? Any Neta actually thinks they can put up posters of wing commander and go and ask for votes. You only do that when you're not confident of the actual work that you've done in your constituency. That letter was sent on 9th March after Wing Commander Abhinandan came back, did not have an impact. So Election Commission of India 10 days later, again on 19th of March, sent another general advisory to all political parties, said desist from displaying photographs of defense personnel or photographs of functions involving defense personnel in ads for your candidates or political parties. I mean, they couldn't be clearer about it. But it hasn't stopped. So, while what you're saying is right, you have managed to at least bring about some awareness amongst these political parties of what should and should not be said. And thank you for at least taking that stand. I also believe that many of those who said they didn't sign it still believe that what was being said, along with thousands of other soldiers out there, agree with this kind of that this kind of politicization has to stop. Mr. Vishwas is on the phone line calling us from Pune. Let's bring in a viewer also. Vishwas, what's your view?
Thank you, Tanvi, for really allowing me to speak. First of all, it is sad that the veterans has to come up and really had to voice such kind of letter has to be sent to all the political parties. And we could see the repercussions of the letter, which is again being used and been politicized. Okay, sad to hear that as a common man of this country. However, I just want to understand one thing, as you have mentioned just now, that the Election Commission has already given them the warning. It is nothing that is really happening to these political parties. They are just taking it as one, a small little shout is also not understood to these people, those who are really yelling on each other for a beautiful cause which these people want to convey to the country and to everybody. The Election Commission is really not having any power at all. And we are losing hope on the commission itself now. As a lay people.
Thanks, Vishwas. I completely agree with you, and thank you for calling. In fact, we have come to the end of this debate. I appreciate all of our panelists joining us, General Katoj, Air Marshal Narayan, and Colonel Amitabh. Special thanks to all of you for coming here and sharing your views. Now, it is not only disgusting that Netas use the forces and the achievements and the bravery of our soldiers as the achievement of themselves and take credit. Some of them have gone, to utter rock bottom levels of actually wearing camouflage dresses and turning up for public events. But what is even more disappointing is then when these veterans, many of them former chiefs of our services, many of them Param Vishesh Sena medal winners, many of them have been awarded the Ati Vishesh Sena medal. PVSM, AVSM, Sena medals being awarded to these soldiers who have fought in wars for our country, who've dedicated their lives. And for you to turn around and question their integrity and say all of this is on behalf of some vested interests is even more disappointing, and it's hypocritical. Please listen to what these soldiers are telling us. And this goes for all political parties. Congress needs to step back and shut up. BJP needs to step back and introspect. If you pretend or if you claim to be the party that looks out for us soldiers, then listen to them when they're trying to send across a message. Thank you so much for joining us on this debate.